solitary, precious, eternal works of art. I'm grateful to witness the age of rediscovery, uncovering God's work in unlikely places, through unlikely people. Carved in Ebony is a wonderful contribution to this necessary movement. For if the truth is to be told, most of us will be remembered much like these women, faithful servants overlooked in the annals of men, but whose lasting kingdom-building deeds are recorded and rewarded by the Savior who sees, hears, and promises to remember all. Take this moment and pray with me, right now, that many more overlooked stories of faithfulness will be uncovered and told as an encouragement to the next generation, perhaps even shared under the shade of an ebony tree, growing alone in a far-off land. K. A. Ellis, Director, Edmiston Center for the Study of the Bible and Ethnicity. Introduction. I never understood the excitement that my friends shared about reading the entire Bible in a year. In my 2 decades as a believer, I have tried to complete this elusive task more than once, and each time I have failed. Sometimes I make it to the major prophets. Sometimes I stall out in Genesis. Other times I bounce around and find solace in the Gospels and Epistles. And still others, I am lost in the miles of Old Testament genealogies and ceremonial laws. The Bible is many things. It is the God-breathed Word. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16, that tells the truth of the Word who became flesh and dwelt among us. John chapter 1, verse 14. It holds the law which teaches us how to live. Galatians chapter 3, verse 24. And it holds the gospel which offers us the hope of Christ's atoning sacrifice when we fall short. Romans chapter 3, verses 23 through 24. The Bible is also a story. It weaves a tale of God's faithfulness to his people from his first promise of a Savior in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, to his providential choice of that Savior's family line in Genesis chapter 12, to the long and winding journey of that promise's ultimate fulfillment in the person and work of Christ. And so, the Bible is also history, the history of the little nation through which God chose to bless all of the nations in the world. Israel often retells the story of God's faithfulness to them when Moses led them across the Red Sea before they entered the Promised Land itself, when they stood on the precipice of captivity while they were in exile when they returned. Story is written into their feasts and celebrations. They are commanded to recount the story of God's faithfulness to their little nation, and they recount it with gusto, often. And it has only been through finally reading the Bible from cover to cover in a year that I have seen the pattern of recounting over and over and over again. We Christians also have to remind ourselves of the story of God's faithfulness to our people over and over again, because like Israel, we are all too easily inclined to forget. I write this book not as an intellectual or a member of the Academy, but as a storyteller. My interest in history, from the historical novels I devoured as a child to the day job I had for 9 years teaching history to middle schoolers, has always flowed from my love of story. And I am enraptured by the story that God weaves through the people he chooses to do his work here on earth. When the Underground Railroad was at the height of its endeavor to free the enslaved people in the United States, the imagery of Israel's rescue from slavery was often employed. Harriet Tubman herself was called Moses.